Sallu ala Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabiyallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nurallah. My dear Islamic brothers and viewers of Madani channel, once again we are in our silsila, the blessings of Ahle Bait. Before we start our silsila, inshallah azza wa jal, as usual, we'll hear that the virtue and the blessing of Durood Pak. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, when a person recites Durood Sharif, the angels send mercies upon him. It is that person's choice if he reads more or less. Sallu ala Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. My dear Islamic brothers and viewers of Madani channel, for those who are the true lovers, only they can understand that they love meeting their beloved even more than their own lives. They also understand that this cannot be achieved without facing tribulation and difficulties. This is not a new thing or a new experience. It has always been displayed by those who are the true devotees. In Surah Baqarah, verse 155, the Quran says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. And certainly we shall put you to test with something of fear and hunger, and with some loss of wealth and lives and fruits, and give glad tidings to those who are patient. My dear Islamic brothers and viewers of Madani channel, everyone was prepared to be sacrificed for the truth, yet the martyrdom of Hussein was the real example, and the examples of those who came later were merely a reflection of this original martyrdom. If this did not happen, then the enemies would have been satisfied with merely the blood of Imam Hussein radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. By Allah azza wa jal, what an amazing and heart-rendering sight is being enacted by Imam Hussein as he leaves his household alone to face these enemies. It is a sight of helplessness, of loneliness, and where he has remained thirsty for 3 days. He has numerous injuries on his body and is preparing to meet over 1,000 enemies. His innocent and blessed daughters are weeping while they are watching as he prepares to do battle all alone. Their eyes are also full of tears, and in that by his leaving would also mean the end of their comfort and peace. At this moment, if there could be anyone who could ask Imam Zainul Abidin radiyallahu ta'ala anhu of what tragedy his beloved father had to endure on this day. He is not well, he is a stranger in this land, and he has seen his beloved companions being martyred in front of him. Imam Zainul Abidin has also seen his innocent brothers being martyred in front of him. What must be going through his mind at this moment? Even at this moment, he is about to lose the merciful shadow of his beloved father, and there is no one to ask him about his loss. Imam Hussein finally embraces his family and gives a last-minute advice to be patient to the females and departs from the tent. There is no one to even accompany him on this final journey. The only thing which accompanies him on the last journey is the regretful and sorrowful eyes of his family. It is as if these eyes are accompanying him on every step he takes. Oh, the fountain of Kausar, keep your sweet scented water prepared, because a beloved who has remained thirsty for 3 days. Today the maidens of paradise have arrived on the plains of Karbala with sweet and cool water. It is as if the heavens are filled with the angels who are watching this amazing moment. The pure souls of paradise have beautified. The mansions of paradise is in preparation. It seems as if even the Holy Prophet has arrived from Medina Sharif to retrieve the blessed body of his beloved grandson. His face and eyes are filled with tears, and the little bottle which he has is filled with the blood of the martyrs. Now it is time for the blood of Hussein to be also added to this. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. باغ جنت کے ہیں بہرے مدح خانے اہل بیت، تم کو مژدہ نار کا اے دشمنان اہل بیت، مصطفیٰ عزت بڑھانے کے لیے تعظیم دیں، ہے بلند اقبال تیرا دودھ مانے اہل بیت، اور ان کے گھر میں بے اجازت جبرائیل آتے نہیں، ان کے گھر میں بے اجازت جبرائیل آتے نہیں، قدر والے جانتے ہیں قدر و شان اہل بیت، حوریں کرتی ہیں عروسہ نے شہادت کا سنگھار، خوب دولہا بنا ہے ہر جوان اہل بیت، اور کس شکی کی ہے حکومت، ہائے کیا اندھیر ہے، کس شکی کی ہے حکومت، ہائے کیا اندھیر ہے، دن دہاڑے لٹ رہا ہے کاروان اہل بیت، دن دہاڑے لٹ رہا ہے کاروان اہل بیت، اور خشک ہو جا خاک ہو کر خاک میں مل جا فرات، خاک تجھ پر دیکھ تو سوکھی زبان اہل بیت، اور فاطمہ کے لاڈلے کا آخری دیدار ہے، حشر کا ہنگامہ برپا ہے میان اہل بیت، اور بے ادب گستاخ فرقے کو سنا دے اے حسن، یوں کہا کرتے ہیں سنی داستان اہل بیت، یوں کہا کرتے ہیں سنی داستان اہل بیت۔ صلو علی الحبیب صلی اللہ تعالی علی محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔ In brief, today is that day when the plains of Karbala are beautified with the blood of Hussein. Tell the maidens of paradise to open their hair and clean their ground of paradise, because today your leader, who is the beloved of Bibi Fatima, radiyallahu ta'ala anha is about to fall on this land. Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala then sees that the despicable Shimr is about to attack the tent where the females are, and he warns him of the dire consequences of this cruel act. Suddenly, numerous of his enemies are attacking him from all directions. When he defends himself on the right flank, there are countless bodies which are seen lying on the ground. When he defends the left flank, the only reaction from the enemy is to turn and run. By Allah, it seems that the reaction of the enemy in the face of this bravery of Imam Hussain is the same reaction displayed by the sheep when they see a lion. When Shimr noticed that his army was not achieving anything, he called out to them, "What are you waiting for? Kill Hussain." Suddenly the enemies of Imam Hussain attacked him from all directions. The despicable Zaraz bin Sharik Tamimi cut open his right shoulder with his sword. Imam Hussain becomes tired. His body displays 33 wounds from spears which have been thrown at him, and 34 wounds from swords which have attacked him. The injuries sustained from arrows which have been fired at him cannot even be counted. As he tries to wake up, he again falls to the ground. In this critical stage, the dweller of hell named Sinan bin Anas Nakhi throws a spear at him. Imam Hussain finally falls to the ground. Sinan then ordered Khwaili bin Yazid to cut off the head of the blessed Imam. However, Khwaili's hands are trembling. Finally, Sinan himself jumps off his horse and severs the blessed head of Imam Hussain. Qatle Hussain असल में मर्गे यजीद है. कत्ले हुसैन असल में मर्गे यजीद है. इस्लाम जिंदा होता है हर करबला के बाद. By the murder of Hussain, in reality Yazid came to die. Islam lives on after every Karbala. Even this did not satisfy them. They then attacked the tent where the females were and stole all their belongings. May Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal curse them. They even stole the scarves from the head of these blessed females. Even this did not satisfy them. They then ran their horses over the blessed body of Imam Hussain and broke every bone in his blessed body. Now what happened after the martyrdom? The despicable Shimr also wanted to martyr Imam Zainul Abidin. However, Humayd bin Muslim advised him against this and informed him that children should not be killed. Thereafter, the blessed head of Imam Hussain and his beloved remaining family were taken to Ibn Ziyad under the escort of Khwaili bin Yazid and Humayd bin Muslim. When they arrived in Kufa, they noticed that the house of Ibn Ziyad was closed, and Khwaili decided to take the blessed head of Imam Hussain to his house. When he entered, he said to his wife, "I have brought something for you who would make you rich forever." When she asked what it was, and when he replied that it was the head of the Prophet's grandson, she shouted to him, "May you be destroyed. People bring gold and silver, and yet you have brought the blessed head of the Prophet's son. By Allah, I refuse to live with you." This same female declares that during the entire night, she saw a light appearing from this blessed head which went up to the heavens, and that white beautiful birds were being sacrificed within this light. When this blessed head was brought in front of Ibn Ziyad, the walls and floors of his house began to ooze with blood. This despicable person then began to strike the blessed teeth of Imam Hussein with his stick and said, I have never seen such beautiful teeth. Zayd bin Arqam, who was present, suddenly shouted at him, take away your stick. By Allah, I have seen the Holy Prophet for many years actually kissing those lips in love and adoration. After saying, he began to weep. Ibn Ziyad then told him, you are weeping? If you do not stop, then your head would be removed also. Zayd bin Arqam did not become fearful. Instead, he stood up and addressed those people who were present. He declared, you have murdered the son of Bibi Fatima, thinking that living is more valuable than death. From today, you will be slaves. By Allah Azza wa Jal, the best among you would be killed, and whoever would be spared would be made a slave. May you remain far from me, who have chosen disgrace and ignominy. He then continued, O Ibn Ziyad, I will most certainly reveal to you an hadith sharif which would make you angry and full of rage. I once saw the Holy Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sitting with Hassan on his right thigh and Hussein on his left thigh and placing his blessed hands on their heads. And he prayed, O Allah Azza wa Jal, I leave them in your care and in the care of those Muslims who are pious. O Ibn Ziyad, look at what you have done with the trust of the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam. On the other side, the prisoners were tied with chains around their necks and hands, and the females were placed on camels. As this procession went past the bodies of those who had been martyred, and they saw that these martyrs were laying on the ground without even a coffin cloth around them, Hazrat Zainab cried out, Ya Rasulullah, may the greetings of the angels be upon the Prophet. Ya Rasulullah, this is Hussein who lies on the ground. His entire body is covered in blood. His whole body is broken. And the daughters of the Holy Prophet are in chains. The children of the Holy Prophet have also been killed. And their bodies are being covered with sand which flies through the wind. When this caravan appeared in front of Ibn Ziyad, he began to debate with Imam Zainul Abidin and was completely defeated in this debate. When they asked whether Imam Zainul Abidin was of mature age, a person called Marri bin Ma'uz looked carefully at Imam Zainul Abidin and replied that he looked mature. Ibn Ziyad then commanded that he also be murdered. When she saw this, Hazrat Zainab immediately grabbed Imam Zainul Abidin and informed Ibn Ziyad that if he wanted to kill Imam Zainul Abidin, then she was also prepared to die with him. Finally, both of them were spared. My dear Islamic brothers and viewers of Madani channel, now we will hear the miracles which appeared from the blessed head of Imam Hussein radiyallahu ta'ala. Finally, this caravan left under the escort of Ibn Ziyad's men. The blessed head of Imam Hussein was actually stuck on a spear. During the journey, a person read verse 9 from Surah Kahf. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Am hasibta anna ashabal kahfi war-raqim kanu min ayatina ajaba. The translation. Did you know that the men of the cave and of the forests were of ours a wonderful sign? When he had completed reading this verse, the blessed head of Imam Hussein replied, O that person who reads the Holy Quran, even more amazing that the companions of the cave is this, that I have been murdered and that my head is paraded on a spear. Wherever these despicable soldiers camped, they paraded the blessed head of Imam Hussein for all to see. It is reported that once during this journey, a Christian monk saw the procession going through and asked them whether they would be happy to accept 10,000 ashrafis as a reward so that he could keep the head for that night in his house. These dogs of the world accepted this offer. It is said that this monk then washed the blessed head and applied sweet scent to it. He then spent the entire head with the blessed head on his lap, continuously looking at it. He also noticed that there was a light which appeared from it. He spent the entire night in this fashion, and in the morning he accepted Islam. He then gave away whatever he had in the monastery and became a servant of the Ahle Bait. In the morning, when this despicable people opened the bag of shear, the Ashrafis among themselves, they noticed that all of them had become small, insignificant pieces. More amazing is that on one side, the following words of Surah Ibrahim, which in the Surah Ibrahim in the 42nd verse, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ اللَّهَ غَافِلًا عَمَّا يَعْمَلُ الظَّالِمُونَ. The translation: and never consider Allah Azza wa Jal unaware of the deeds of the unjust. He is not letting them lose, but to a day in which their eyes shall remain staring. Was recorded, and on the other side was written the 227th verse of Surah Shura, which is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ. Translation: and how the unjust will soon know as to which side they shall return. It is recorded that when his blessed head arrived before the unclean Yazid, he began to touch it with his cane. At that moment, a Christian ambassador from Rome was also present. When he saw this, he remarked surprisingly, in a church on one of our island, there are hoof which is said to belong to Nabi Isa's donkey. Every year people come from far and wide to see this hoof and also take oaths through it. We also respect it as you people respect the Kaaba. However, what have you done with the son of your prophet? I bear witness that you people are indeed misguided. Another Jew remarked that there were 70 generations which separated me from Nabi Dawood as family, and yet the Jews still respected me, and yet you people have yourselves killed the son of the holy prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the evening, this caravan traveled onward towards Medina Sharif. On arrival in Medina Sharif, it brought with it a scene from Qiyamah. Every house was filled with grief and sadness. The frightful end of those who took part in the martyrdom of Imam Hussain. That Abu Shaykh narrates that whoever took part or assisted in the martyrdom of Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala, each and everyone became victims of some tragedy. Once an old man proudly boasted that nothing had ever happened to him. When he was trying to set a light, suddenly fire engulfed him. He began to scream, "Fire, fire!" and jumped into Tigris in Furat. However, he could not manage to put off the fire until finally he went to his final destination, which was the fire of hell. Mansur bin Ammar narrates that the killers of Imam Hussain became victims of such immense thirst that no matter how much they drank, they could not quench their thirst. Sadmi narrates that a person once invited him to Karbala, and people were speaking among themselves that whoever was responsible for the martyrdom of Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala had died a disgraceful death. The person who had invited me declared that he had also been involved in this and that nothing had ever happened to him. The following night, while he was preparing a fire, suddenly the fire engulfed him and he recognized. Recognition, the narrator admits that when he saw the body, it was burnt to ashes. My dear Islamic brothers and viewers of Madani channel, Imam Zuhri admits that some were killed, some became blind, and the faces of some became black. Imam Waqidi narrates, there was once an old man who was present during this incident but was not involved. Suddenly he became blind. When he was asked the reason for this, he replied that he had seen the Holy Prophet in his dream. The sleeve of the Holy Prophet ﷺ was folded, and in his blessed hand was a sword. In front of the Holy Prophet, 10 of the killers of Imam Hussain by dead. He then turned to the old man and said angrily, by being present, you had increased their numbers. He then placed a drop of the blood of Imam Hussain on my eye, and when I awoke, I found that I was blind. Sabat Ibn al-Jawza narrates that the person who had hung the blessed head of Imam Hussain on his horse, after a few days, his face became blacker than coal. When people asked him the reason for this, and also mentioned to him that his face used to always look bright and fresh, he replied that every night 2 people approach me and grabbing me by my shoulders, they throw me into a flaming fire with my head over the fire. The flames continue to lick away at my face. It is said that he had a very bad death. An old man admits that once he saw the Holy Prophet in a dream, in front of which there was a tray of blood. People were then presented to the Holy Prophet, and each person is stained with this blood. When this old man approached the Holy Prophet, he admitted that I was not presented. However, the Holy Prophet replied, but this is what you wished in your heart. The Holy Prophet then pointed at him with his right index finger, and in the morning he found that he was blind. All praise is due to Almighty Allah in that He has taken His retribution from Ibn Ziyad for the sake of Imam Hussain. It is stated that when he was killed with his companions, all their heads were placed and people came to see. The narrator declares that I saw a snake suddenly appear. After going through all the heads, it finally came to the unclean head of Ibn Ziyad. It went through one nostril opening and appeared through the another nostril. This continued for a few times. Mansur narrates that I saw a person in Syria once whose face resembled that of a pig. When I asked him to the reason, he replied that I used to curse Hazrat Ali and his pure family. One night I saw the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in my dream, and Imam Hassan complained about him. The Holy Prophet cursed him and spat on his face. Suddenly his face took the shape of a pig. Ma'adallah. My dear Islamic brothers and viewers of Madani channel, today we complete our silsila, the blessings of Ahle Bait. You have heard regarding the virtue of the Ahle Bait and the incident of Karbala. Amongst the many messages we learn from the incident of Karbala is that for the sake of the deen, we should never shy away from making any sacrifice, whether what be the sacrifice of wealth, time, or one's life, or even one's children and family. If anyone wishes to learn how to remain content with the will of Allah, then he should learn it from the household of Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala. Today the state of Muslims is such that we see in front of our eyes that today's Muslims become engulfed in the dunya and distant themselves from the teaching of Islam. On one hand, there are the sacrifices of Imam Hussain for this deen, and on the other hand, there is the distant of today's Muslim from the very same deen. Does your heart not shed tears of blood that Imam Hussain gave such a great sacrifice for us? And yet, what is our state today? Step forward, walk in the footsteps of Imam Hussain, as we too make the intention that whenever the deen, our Islam requires us to sacrifice our time, our wealth, our lives and children's, then we will make this sacrifice, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Azza wa Jal, the Madani environment of Dawat Islami is spreading the blessing of the Ahle Bait and Sahaba throughout the world. You too become a part of this. Today, we are commemorating the memory of the people of Karbala. And Dawat Islami is providing an excellent opportunity to walk in their blessed footsteps. Dawat Islami inspires us to travel in a 3-day Madani Kafla every month and fill in the Madani Inamat card daily. Consider that 3 days is 72 hours and the numbers of Madani Inamat is 72 for Islamic brothers, and the number of martyrs of Karbala is also 72. The blessed caravan is about 72 people in that blessed caravan. Stand up. From this month, we will travel for 72 hours on a Madani Kafla and act upon the 72 Madani Inamat for the memory of the 72 martyrs of Karbala. Today, in the court of the Shuhada of Karbala, we present a humble offering. Inshallah, we will fill in our Madani Inamat card daily and travel for 3 days in a month, 30 days in a year, and 12 months in a Madani Kafla of Dawat Islami. If, my dear Islamic brothers, if this humble offering is accepted in the blessed code of Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and we succeed in acquiring the true servant of the Ahlul Bait and Sahaba, then this will be our success in both worlds. Inshallah Azza wa Jal. May Allah Azza wa Jal shower His mercy upon all of us for the sake of the martyrs of Karbala. Ameen. Bijahi Nabi Ameen. Sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Sallu ala al-Habib. Sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.